Good evening. For those of you unfamiliar how this works, every year I go through the 5,000 articles published on human nutrition so you don't have to. Every year the talk is brand new because every year the science is brand new. I then compile all the most interesting, the most groundbreaking, the most practical results into a quiz show format. In a few moments I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. We'll play a few games. If you get the answer right, you get to remain standing. If you get the answer wrong, you need to sit down. And we'll keep going to see who the last person is standing. Any questions before we begin?
Can you kill the lights that are shown on the screen?
That light is the sun. Unfortunately, I cannot kill the sun. But that one we can probably take care of. The one on your head. Doesn't anybody want to know what they win?
Yeah.
The prize this year is a new CD-ROM I created containing 1,000 of the latest, greatest scientific articles on nutrition, your own personal nutrition library on a disc. It is not for sale. Even if you beg, you have to win it. All right? Before I get everyone up, first a bit of background for our first game. When I've shown graphs like this, if you see me give, this is last year's talk, comparing the antioxidant content of a variety of foods, it was based on really primitive methods. This year, though, a landmark study was published pitting 34 common vegetables against 8 human cancers. Let's look at breast cancer. I'll cover it up the answers here. This is breast tumor cell proliferation. Here's the control here. As you can see, you drip some water on a human breast tumor, nothing happens. Still powers away at 100% growth. And these 7 vegetables appear to do nothing, no better than placebo. These 6 vegetables, however, cut cancer growth rate in half, and these 5 at the end cut breast cancer growth completely. Stop these tumor cells dead in their tracks. Before we get started, take-home message number 1 from this amazing new data is that we need to eat a variety of vegetables. Check it out. Radishes don't do anything against pancreatic cancer, but completely eliminate stomach cancer growth. Orange bell peppers, useless against stomach cancer, but drop prostate cancer growth by more than 75%. So we need to eat a portfolio of vegetables because they each tend to target different cancers. Now, this is not to say that some vegetables aren't better than others. Certain vegetables target multiple cancers at the same time. So, using this groundbreaking new data, let's get everybody up on their feet and play our first game, which is healthier. Let's say you're at one of those made-to-order salad joints where you can choose your lettuce, choose your toppings, choose your dressing. First up, let's choose our lettuce. 5 to choose from. You only get to pick one. There's Boston, or so-called green leaf lettuce, endive, radicchio, romaine, and spinach. Who think, out of those 5, Boston's number 1? Raise your hand. Who thinks it's endive? Who thinks it's radicchio? Who thinks it's romaine? Who thinks it's spinach? And the answer is, spinach is number 1 against breast cancer, number 1 against brain tumors, number 1 against kidney cancer, number 1 against lung cancer, number 1 against childhood brain tumors. This is why our kids need to eat spinach. Number 1 against pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, and stomach cancer. Now note, this is not number 1 overall. There are 16 vegetables more powerful at suppressing stomach cancer than spinach, but out of those 5, spinach is number 1. So, anyone who didn't pick spinach and hasn't already, please sit down. We'll go on to the next round. What if the salad place is simply out of spinach? Which is number 2? Who says Boston? Who says endive? Who says radicchio? Who says romaine? And number 2, breast cancer, radicchio. Radicchio, radicchio, radicchio. Romaine for this one, but then radicchio, radicchio, and radicchio. Overall, radicchio number 2. We are down to about a half dozen contestants. All right, next up, let's choose our toppings. Yes or no? On average, across those 8 cancers, do carrots slow cancer rate greater than 50%? Who says yes? Raise your hand. Who says no? And the answer is no. No, 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 and no. And we are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 remaining contestants. What about, so no shredded carrots, but what about shredded beets on our salad? Yes or no? What do you think? We got a yes?
Yes. Yes.
We got a no for beets. No for beets. Yes?
Yes.
Yes? No. And the answer is yes for beets. Super yes. And overall that was a no, but overall yes for beets.
Is that the greens or the beet itself?
That is actually the beet itself, the beetroot. What about cucumbers? We have 1, 2, 3 remaining contestants. Cucumbers on our salad, yes or no?
No.
Well, no.
Not 50%.
No way, 50.
No.
No, and 3 remaining contestants. No for cucumber. All right, but what about tomatoes? Greater than 50%, yes or no?
No.
No. No.
I'll go with a yes.
And the answer is no for tomatoes. No for tomatoes. 2 remaining contestants. What about potatoes? In fact, at many of these salad joints, you can actually get potatoes onto your salad. Anyone sitting down want to shout out advice for remaining 2 contestants?
No.
Okay, what do you think? No. And you're both right. No for potatoes. Wait a second. No potato. No lettuce, carrots, potatoes, tomatoes, cucumbers. That's all people eat. That's the problem. Even people eating their vegetables aren't really eating their vegetables. Most of the vegetables commonly consumed in the Western world have little effect on the proliferation of tumor cell lines. Let us cut to the chase. One vegetable that stopped cancer growth rate, 7 out of the 8 lines, 100%, completely eliminated cancer growth, 7 out of 8. One of the most important findings of the year, certainly one of the most important things you'll hear from me today. Which vegetable, number 1? Is it bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, fiddlehead ferns, garlic, kale, or red cabbage, or also known as purple cabbage? Anybody want to shout out some advice?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts.
Going to start over here. What do you think?
Brussels sprouts.
We'll come back to you. What do you think? We got a broccoli over here?
Cabbage.
Brussels sprouts.
Bok choy. All right. And number 1 against breast cancer? Garlic. Number 1 against brain tumors? Garlic. Number 1 against kidney cancer? Actually, number 2, lung cancer? Garlic. Pediatric brain tumors, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, stomach cancer? Garlic is number 1. No winners this round. So might I suggest a garlicky salad dressing? But wait a second. Maybe garlic just suppresses all cancer. I mean, all cell growth. I mean, sure, it suppresses cancer, but maybe it slows down normal cell growth too. That wouldn't be good. Well, they tested for that. The black bars are the cancer cells. The white bars are the normal cells. As you can see, garlic slams down cancer, but leaves the normal cells alone. And you basically see that across the board. They're selective. Vegetables go after the cancer, leave your normal cells alone. Veggies are amazing. Final step, the dressing. Let's get everyone up for the next round. Which is more nutritious? A salad with an oil-free dressing or an oil-based dressing? Who says oil-free?
Oil-based.
Who says oil-based?
Oil-based.
All right, wow. Very good. It is actually oil-based. There are many fat-soluble nutrients in salads such that the bioavailability is higher. With salads ingested with full-fat dressing, check it out. These are grafts of the nutrients absorbed into your bloodstream over 10 hours after you eat a big salad. Huge spike in nutrient absorption, but this is for an oil-based dressing. The open circles for reduced fat dressing and these black triangles at the bottom, fat-free dressing. Fat-free salad. 0, zilch, nada. Why did you even eat the salad in the first place? The nutrition, instead of going into your bloodstream, went into the sewer stream. Now, oil isn't good for you, a lot of empty calories. The best sources of fat are whole foods, nuts, for example. So fine, use a fat-free dressing, as long as there's walnuts in the salad, or pumpkin seeds, or avocado, some source of fat, to get all this wonderful nutrition into your body. Speaking of fatty plant foods, what about coconut? Now, most people don't eat whole coconut, so let's break it down. Harmful, harmless, or helpful. Organic virgin coconut oil, then there's coconut milk, and then there's flake coconut. 3 ways people might eat coconut products. Unfortunately, don't have time to cover the coconut oil or coconut flakes, although if there's Q&A time, I'd be happy to talk about it. But there's all these new dairy-free coconut milk-based products on the market now, so I did want to touch on that. Now, coconut milk is not the same thing as coconut water, which is actually the liquid inside of coconuts, which, interestingly, is so physiologically close to human plasma, you can actually drip coconut water intravenously. You can actually hook up a series of coconuts, drip it right into your body. So, if you're ever on a desert island, happen to have some IV tubing laying around? All right. Anyway, what about coconut milk, which is, according to the label, rich in MCFAs? MCFAs. Who says harmful anyway? Raise their hand. Who says, well, not exactly bad for you, not necessarily good for you either, harmless? All right, and who says, no, helpful, good for you, coconut milk-based products? All right, well, if you went to my 2007 talk, you knew that McMuffins were McDeath on one's artery. Egg McMuffins, olive oil didn't do anything, and walnuts had an immediate positive effect, even in whopping doses, on one's arteries. Well, they repeated that study, this time with coconut milk, and the reaction of human arteries to coconut milk is as bad as the McDonald's. Coconut milk is harmful in coconut milk products. That cleared the room a bit. Nuts are the best source of fat. But what if you have diverticulosis? Fact or fiction? People with diverticulosis shouldn't eat nuts. Is this fact or is this fiction? Now, so what is diverticulosis? So diverticulosis is a disease caused by inadequate fiber intake. You don't eat enough vitamin C, you get scurvy. You don't eat enough fiber, you get diverticulosis. More than half of older Americans, this is an epidemic, more than half of older Americans have this serious condition, diverticulosis, which is outpouchings from your colon. So when you don't eat enough fiber to soften and bulk up your stool, you may have to strain during a bowel movement, and after a lifetime of straining, you can actually blow out these pockets from your colon. This is what it looks like on the inside from colonoscopy. This is what it looks on the outside. This should be a smooth tube, right? But this is someone suffering from diverticulosis. Now, if one of these little blowout pockets gets inflamed, it looks more like this, and your colon looks more like this. You do not have to be a doctor to understand that that is not what your colon should look like. And if you keep it up, you can blow a hole through your colon and die. All because you ate too many animals and too many refined plant foods and not enough whole plant foods, the only place that fiber is found. Anyway, back to our original question. Sometimes on autopsy, you can find little pieces of popcorn and nuts, seeds in these little outpouchings. And so doctors have for decades said, well, maybe that's what triggered the inflammation. So anyone with diverticulosis told them, don't eat nuts, don't eat popcorn. But, the lack of plant foods led to the problem in the first place. Do we really want to tell people to stop eating plant foods? Well, finally, we have the data. Major study, the Journal of the American Dietetic Association, finally answered the question. We have data now, right? God forbid doctors actually base anything on evidence. And what do you think they found? Who says people with diverticulosis really shouldn't eat nuts? Raise your hand. Fact. Who thinks this is fiction? And this is a major fiction. In fact, those people eating nuts actually had lower rates of inflammation compared to those who didn't. And so it's a total 180 for the medical profession. What about putting mushrooms on our salad, though? Last year, I got an email from someone who said that Dr. Joel Furman over in Jersey told his patients to stop eating raw mushrooms because of a natural toxin found in white mushrooms, which is destroyed, called the garatine, which is destroyed by cooking. And he says, cooked mushrooms, great, very healthy for you, but you shouldn't eat raw mushrooms. And I get crazy emails from doctors spouting all sorts of nonsense all the time, but I have a lot of respect for Dr. Furman, so I looked into it, and what do you think I found? Raw mushrooms, who says harmful? Who says harmless? Who thinks raw mushrooms, just like cooked mushrooms, are helpful, good for you? And it turns out that Dr. Furman was right. Harmful. Mushrooms are filled with all sorts of wonderful stuff, but we should eat them cooked. And we have 2 remaining contestants. Any other natural toxins to consider? Well, potatoes produce a natural insecticide called glycoalkaloid to fight off potato beetles. Right? Bad for beetles, but what about us? Well, we now realize that these potato glycoalkaloids is probably the most highly consumed natural toxin here in North America. But wait a second, we have been eating potatoes for 7,000 years. It is the 4th largest food crop in the world. A major review was just published on the safety of these things. So what do you think? Baked potatoes, harmful, harmless, or helpful? Now this is no sour cream, no cheese, no salt, plain baked potato. Harmful, harmless, or helpful? What do you think?
I think it's helpful.
You think it's helpful? It's a baked potato, for God's sake. Yeah. What do you think?
Harmful.
We got a harmful, we got a helpful, and we have our first winner.
Oh.
Potato glycoalkaloids. Answering the question of vital importance, are these things dangerous to humans? Here's the result. Here's the summary. Probably extremely toxic to humans, and this problem should no longer be ignored as it could turn into a serious health threat. Congratulations. So potatoes are harmful. If you like potatoes, eat sweet potatoes, none of those toxins, and are healthier for you anyway. Everybody up for the next round. What about gluten? The wheat protein that's used to make a number of mock meat products such as seitan. You may or may not have noticed a number of labels recently advertising gluten-free foods, gluten-free diets. All right. For the vast majority of people, who do you think? Do you think that gluten is harmful? Raise your hand. Who thinks, well, not harmful, but not necessarily good for you, harmless? And who thinks, no, actually good for you, helpful? And the answer is helpful. Excellent source of high-quality protein, but only for 99.8% of people. The very staff of life. 1 out of every 133rd American has something called celiac disease. And for those people, the consumption of gluten leads to bloating and diarrhea and weight loss and all sorts of bad things. And so for those people, gluten is bad. But for the other 132 out of 133 people, gluten is perfectly fine. If, however, you have any of those symptoms, you should be tested for the disease. A very simple blood test. In fact, now there's been advocates that we should just screen all children for the disease because if you have the disease, don't know it, and continue to eat gluten, you can live a significantly shorter life. So get tested if you are concerned. Any other plant foods we should potentially be concerned about? What about blue-green algae, chlorella? Many people take this as a supplement. Now in 2007, I gave it a thumbs down, but what's the latest? There's some new stuff out there. Who thinks blue-green algae supplements harmful? Raise your hand. Who thinks harmless? Who thinks helpful? And the answer is harmful. I was concerned in 2007 about these neurotoxins, which I'm still concerned about. I was kind of creeped out by this study in veterinary pathology of a golden retriever killed by chlorella, but not by some toxin. The chlorella itself actually invaded her body, crawled up her spinal cord into her brain. I'm all for live food, not this alive. When plants bite back, and there are indeed human infections reported as well. For our remaining 4 contestants, what about reports last summer linking tofu with dementia? Here's the study, plain as day. High tofu intake associated with worse memory. Fact, or fiction? Soy, increased dementia risk. What do you think?
Fiction.
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 Fiction. All right, see, that's good strategy against the crowd. You know, that's how you win. All right. Unfortunately, you're wrong. Fiction. It turns out that we have research from all around the world showing that that soy actually improves cognition, not just doesn't do anything. But wait a second, what about this study? Here it is: high tofu intake, worse memory. But they also looked at tempeh, which is also a soy food, and found no relationship with dementia. So wait, it can't be the soy. And given the fact that around the rest of the world, soy is good for cognition, raised the question, wait a second, what did they put in their tofu in Indonesia? And if those journalists had bothered to actually read the study, they would have found that the Indonesian Departments of Health found that formaldehyde is often added to tofu, but not tempeh, to preserve its freshness. Yes, the carcinogenic neurotoxin formaldehyde. This is actually what it looks like, right? Mystery solved. All right. But what about this, though? Eating soy may decrease sperm count in men. Now, the phytoestrogens in soy are, protect against cancer, but might they decrease male fertility? Fox News thinks so. What do you think? Oh, here we go. So soy lowers sperm counts. Fact or fiction?
Body views, not fiction.
Fiction. Fiction. Fiction. And 3 right answers. And it's interesting why, though. So in this study, the soy decreased sperm concentration, but did not affect sperm count. Wait a second. How can you have a lower concentration, but the same actual number of sperm? And that's because of a larger ejaculate load. What soy does is it stimulates your prostate gland to produce a larger load of ejaculate fluid, so the concentration is lower, but the actual sperm count, the number of sperm itself, is identical. The phytoestrogens aren't the problem for sperm, it's the xenoestrogens, these human-made chemicals like PCBs and pesticides that have estrogenic effects. Where is it found the most? Fish. Highest levels were found in the bodies of urban fish eaters, followed by rural fish eaters, then urban vegetarians, with the lowest levels found in rural vegetarians. Here's the comparison between fish eaters and vegetarians. This is the sperm counts between the two because of the industrial toxins found in meat and fish, really, in particular, because we've so polluted our oceans.